Hi guys, I'm Matt.
And I'm Rabea.
And this is Sounds Like on Andertons TV.
So we are revisiting something that we have to hold our hands up and say was probably the worst Sounds Like we've done in the entire history of doing Sounds Like together.
It was.
Let's not hold back.
Is it harsh calling it the worst? Yeah,
we really didn't do a good job.
To be honest, yeah, it wasn't our strongest moment. It was early. It was an early one.
It was one of the first ones we shot.
It was.
Just to recap, what we're talking about is Sound Like John Frusciante.
Yes, the great guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
This is our redeeming video.
Hopefully, but this time we obviously don't have a budget, so really we don't have an excuse.
No, we're going to get custom shop Strat. We're going to get the best. We're going to get basically as close as gear as possible
to his room,
to what he uses, because we don't have a budget to worry about. Yeah. And let's really see how easy it is to get out tone, or how difficult it is.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of passionate Chili's fans out there, and he's a player and a writer, and it's a very, very specific thing. But I think we can hopefully get close with a bit of no budgeting.
Let's give it a go.
Okay, let's go. Wait our turn.
There are currently people in the special boutique room wanting to buy some wicked gear. So we can't go in there yet.
It's important that they try.
We have to wait our turn. This is 61 and Frusciante does a 62, right?
Yeah.
So if his is a 62 and this is a inspired by 61,
no 6 for no one else.
It's not a signature model, it's an inspired by. Basically, we're having a little bit of difficulty with the fact that we're stood in front of all the custom shop Fender stuff.
Yes.
And because John Frusciante has a 60s and a real 60s Strat with a rosewood board as well as other ones, we're trying to work out what's the best bet. Here is an artist-inspired custom shop 61 Strat,
which is, to be honest, real close.
Yeah.
It is Stevie Ray Vaughan, artist-inspired, so you know.
But is it a SIG? Technically not.
It's technically not a SIG.
But it's the only one. I mean, this is a Rory Gallagher signature, so we can't use that, and that's got rosewood. We've got a. Is this a Journeyman or is this
a Journeyman?
So this is not the kind of colour that John Frusciante would use, but it's got the rosewood board. I think.
If it's just down to colour, we are Sounds Like, not looks like. So I reckon maybe we'll be fine with this. The only real difference is that. Well, not the only difference, but obviously it has a white board.
And this wasn't gold. But these are 60s voice pickups. It's a 61, so I think it will probably get us the tones we're after.
Well, there we go. Should we do that?
I think so. It's the 61 artist inspired by Fender Custom Shop Strat.
There you are. And it is £2,699, so getting us towards our indefinite budget quite nicely. So
we need to get a good amp now.
We do. Let's do that. Right, so John Frusciante uses, well, he's used vintage Marshalls, I think he combos
JMPs.
Yeah, JMPs, he's Voxes, Fenders, and also the Marshall Jubilee is something that's a bit of a mainstay, I think, for him. So we have found one right over there. But this is actually the 1x12 20-watt version in a combo fashion, which is £939, so not a cheap combo. But this does come in a full-on head version, which is
100 watts.
Yeah, 100-watt head. So it's just over £1,000 actually for the head, and then obviously we need a cab as well. We've got a Marshall 412 with greenbacks. So
I mean, that's roughly £550 for a cab like that.
Yeah, and then $1,000 for the head.
Yeah.
The head is now on its way, so we're going to use that and have it in the video room.
So that's 2,699 on the guitar.
Yep.
That's roughly 1,550, 1,650 on the amp and cab, and we still need to get the right pedals.
Yeah.
We are going to get a DS1 this time, though.
We are. Maybe DS2 if we can find one.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Let's do that.
Look, it's a DS1
Yep.
for £39.
That is a bargain.
I mean, if that's not busting the bank, I don't know what is.
He also, I think we read somewhere he uses DS2 as well, or at different times he has.
Really? Cool. It's the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, it's been a long one. We're going to get both,
Okay.
and see what happens.
Yeah.
We also need...
We could do an Ibanez wah, but I don't think we can.
I don't think we stock an Ibanez wah. Whether it just contributes a wah sound or more is to be determined. So I'm not sure whether another wah will do the job.
No, but we need to get a good wah, and we also need to get a fuzz, Big Muff pie.
Yeah, he uses a little Big Muff pie,
Yeah.
Russian version,
Okay.
which is apparently a different chip to the regular version.
This is difficult. We don't always have all the pedals like in stock that we can just get, which I think is worth pointing out. You know, it's only what's in stock, what we have in store. So it is pretty, sometimes it gets a bit frustrating when we need to find a very specific pedal. I think where we went wrong last time was we used the Screaming Bird and we also used the Satisfaction Fuzz,
yeah.
which was just way off. So
The Satisfaction especially, is just, I'm sorry, the Screaming Bird.
there's just the wrong
pedal.
combination pedals. Done a bit of research, stood in this exact position,
Yes.
and it turns out we can't get the green Russian muff, which is fine because they don't stock it, but he has been known to use
The Big Muff.
The Big Muff.
So we're going to try and see if that one will get us close enough.
Yeah, we still need a wah pedal.
Yep.
And I hope we've got enough fuzz sounds to get the fuzz sound that John Frusciante uses.
I think one of the main things we need to do is to be able to have a lot of versatility in our fuzz.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get the Moog and let's get the Big Muff. We've got these two. Maybe we need a bit of reverb, maybe a bit of delay.
Some focaccia. So I was just suggesting the Way Huge Green Rhino. And the only reason I'm saying that is because we used it on the Sound Like Josh Shot Me, and it has a really good, it has a spike at 100 Hz, 200 Hz, and a filter so that you can actually like shelf stuff and get more of a chewy, you know, kind of, that kind of thicker sound that John Frusciante might use, because it's still a drive pedal at the end of the day.
So he uses an Ibanez wah, and we can't get one of those either, so we're having to kind of like improvise. So I think what we're going to do is grab, potentially now we have no budget, this Exotic Effects wah here, purely because it has a few more tonal options than your standard wah.
Yeah, and I think that might be useful for us, particularly considering he obviously uses the Ibanez for a very specific thing, for a reason, so we may as well get the most versatile one, you know.
Yeah, and go from there. Well, should we go on, let's get all this together and go back to the room and see how it sounds.
We're back in the video room.
We are back, finally, in our quest to sound like John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers without a budget.
Without doing it wrong. We should say that.
This is the main part of this video.
Yeah, I mean, we often look back over all the Sounds Like videos we've done. We troll through the comments just to see what people think and reply to people, all that kind of stuff. And every time we go back to the John Frusciante without busting the bank, we kind of just sit there and kind of go, oh, we totally messed it up. Because everyone's just going, that doesn't sound anything like it.
Embarrassing, actually. I
mean,
we're hoping that you guys think we did a better job.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's another amazing kind of enabler to getting a better John Frusciante sound, which is loads of money.
Yeah, there is that.
So we threw as much as we could at this rig.
Yeah.
And
it's looking at around $5,000, isn't it?
All in about $5,000, which isn't the most expensive we've ever done. It's still quite a
I think the reason it's not the most expensive is because the pedals that John Frusciante uses aren't exactly like mega expensive pedals.
No.
Like a Boss DS2 is £40.
Yeah, he uses a lot of Boss as well.
Yeah.
And, just a lot of kind of stuff we've used many a time on the Without Busting series.
But it's worth mentioning before we go into this in huge detail, like the pedals are all acquirable, they're not like crazy money. The guitar, obviously, is a custom shop, but you could, if say you had a classic Vibe 60s Squire Strat or a Mexican Strat, and say you had the 20-watt version of this amplifier, you can get these tones. Like, this isn't like...
Or even a Mexican standard or American standard. You can You could get close
Yeah.
on half the budget, I think.
So, without further ado, this is the guitar we've chosen. Now, this is a Fender Custom Shop artist-inspired 61 Strat.
Yes. So John Frusciante played I think it's a 62 as his main guitar. He had a few Strats, or has a few Strats. He still does.
Yeah.
But yeah, rosewood neck and kind of the burst you'd expect, but just a different colour.
Yeah, I wish it had the white
wiring.
pick guard.
Yeah, same.
If it had the white pick guard, it'd look way closer. But you know what? It is what it is. It's not looks like, is it?
It sounds like.
Yeah. But it plays well. It's really, really nice. It sounds lovely. And it's £2,699, which is what you'd expect to pay for a custom shop guitar from Fender.
Yeah, and about half the budget, essentially.
Yeah. And obviously we've got all the pedals in front, but the amp that we're using is the Marshall Jubilee, and this is the 2550 2555.
Cool.
Yeah.
All the fives and the twos.
Yeah, and this is a head that they released quite a long time ago, but then they reissued it, didn't they? So then they brought out like a 112 combo version, which we showed you in the store, and this is the 100-watt head that John Frusciante uses.
Normally, from what we've seen in the kind of various rigs he's had over the years, I guess we've been looking mostly at the late 90s, early 2000s period, where basically from Californication to around By the Way, Slane Castle, if you've seen that DVD, perfect.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, watch it. But yeah, he normally pairs it up with an old Marshall JMP, and then I think as well he has a Fender channel.
It's a silver face, I believe.
He splits out, yeah, and that's where I think this sits with the Fender.
Right, okay, which is why we didn't use it in the main rig. That's the DS1.
This is the Boss DS1. We've opted for the DS2, which he's also well known for using.
Well, I'm going to show you really, really quickly the amp and the guitar on its own. And in fact, it's worth mentioning.
What is it worth mentioning?
That Danny California was just the sound of the guitar and the amp and nothing else. So to get that kind of...
But obviously we had to have a cab for that to go through. It wasn't just the head making that sound.
No.
So this is the Marshall 1960B with Celestian greenbacks in it. Cab choice was a particular in his rig throughout time.
Yeah.
But we've got this B. There's obviously a little tonal difference between the A and the B, but
sounds good.
It sounds good.
Okay, so pedals. So let's point out the stuff that's a bit sort of unorthodox in terms of the John Frusciante thing, or unexpected choices.
There's a couple, yeah.
Yeah. So firstly, we got the Green Rhino by Way Huge. It was kind of a punt because I thought, you know, you've got the 500 hertz and the 100 hertz boost that you can dial in, and it is an overdrive pedal, and I just didn't know exactly what it was going to achieve, other than maybe some of the really, really oversaturated fuzzy lead sounds he has at like the end of Scar Tissue and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
In actual fact, it worked out that it was perfect on its own with the bridge pickup for that. And it's like bang on.
It's just again giving it a little push. Really.
Yeah, we're not using very much drive, tone, or level. In fact, everything except for the 100 hertz control is pointing at around 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a curveball and something that you wouldn't expect him to have.
Yeah.
But starting at this end, this is the Boss Turbo Distortion DS2. Actually a really, really cheap pedal, but it sounds super good, especially in the, I guess the chorus for Danny California, we use it quite a lot, which sounds a little something like this.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a nice big speaker in here now. We can listen to the intricacies of the mix when we're doing our referencing.
Yeah.
And it very much did sort of have that tone about it. It sounded like he just turned the distortion on and that was it, you know. So
yeah, and I mean, and live as well, you can kind of hear that it is that sound.
Yeah.
Next in line, we got the SP compressor,
which we didn't talk about in the store.
We didn't, and we actually just threw it in at the end for a bit of Under the Bridge.
Yeah, it's by Exotic, which is also the same make as the wah pedal. But yeah,
yes,
as Matt says, for Under the Bridge, because it's, if you listen to the record, that clean tone is quite compressed.
I think it's also a step up from where
I think it's capoed, yeah. We're playing it quite low, so sorry for all you purists out there.
Yeah.
So this is without. And then if you pop it in. Yeah, it does the compressed sound, so that's...
Yeah, obviously a million other compressors in the world you can choose from.
Yeah.
Big Muff. He uses a Russian version, which we don't have. So we've just got a standard USA Big Muff here by Electro Harmonics.
Yeah, it sounds good. It also works really well for the ending solo of Scar Tissue.
It's very dry almost.
Yeah, and we also used it for the end of Danny California with the shred bit, and just generally it can do the John Frusciante lead tone, can't it? Because he's very fuzzy, isn't he, when he goes on his mad improvised missions.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, as you probably know, he uses and has used millions of different pedals, and some of the live stuff we watch it's just really, really fuzzy, and some is a bit more chilled out.
And loads of different fuzzes. I think he's the only guitarist I've ever known to have played through that many different fuzz pedals.
Yeah.
He must really like his fuzz.
Just a bit of an experimenter.
Yeah.
Next is the MXR microamp, which again has been on his board. So we got this one in last minute to help us out with
the main riff of Scar Tissue.
That was where we used it.
But it's interesting because it's a very subtle addition. So if this is without, throw it in. So ever so slightly boosts the mid-range and the clarity there. So if I played you the beginning. It just adds that little bit of mid-clarity there, which is what you can hear on the record. It's kind of rounded, isn't it, and warm.
Yeah, that's right. And actually we found playing that riff,
it was
very dependent on where you had your finger on the body.
Yeah, so I was actually playing it like... to get the rounded low note and then to get the more crisp high note.
Lastly is the wah.
The Exotic wah. Now this is quite a dear wah pedal. And the main reason is because it can do loads of different stuff. But on the side you've got your level, you've got the sort of range of the wah and where it affects on the sort of when you cock it back and all the way forward. You got bass and you got treble. But the first one, the bias of the pedal is actually really important because it really does. For Get on Top, we found it was quite difficult to pinpoint the exact area.
Yeah, and it's really hard to kind of, you might have found if you use wah a lot, to get it to give you everything at the top, and when you cock back to not just completely disappear.
Exactly. So this is what we got just normally. And then the idea is that we throw the wah on, and we've tried to dial it in as best we can, but to get that effect.
As you said before, we didn't have access to the Ibanez, and I think some places suggest using a Crybaby, but we really wanted to try and just have as many options as we can, because once you get all the gear in the room and take the gamble, the educated guess in the store, when you get it back here, it's quite a lot of effort to actually get it right.
I'd say the main pedals that we really found effective was definitely the DS2, which a lot of you guys pointed out we should have used, and the DS1. So thank you.
Yeah.
The Big Muff made a huge difference. The micro amp, and I guess the Green Rhino I could take or leave, but it did achieve the tone, but I do think you could get something close with the distortion on the low gain.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. If you play, a couple of the excerpts.
Yeah.
We played with the settings quite a lot, so you can get a bunch of different stuff. And to be honest, if you like it that much, buy 2.
Yeah, there you go. So that's it.
That is it. This has been John Frusciante by Busting the Bank. I think we busted it sufficiently.
£5,000's quite a lot of money.
It's more than some.
More than a specific amount. It's the end of the day.
It is. We've had a long one.
It's been a long day today, but I just want to say thank you for all the suggestions of how to make this a better sound like from the original.
Yeah.
Because we did take a lot of that into account, and I really hope you guys think we did a better job than the last time.
So do I. And but this is your opportunity. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
In the comments below. As usual, all of the gear is in the description box. Yeah, it's been a good one.
It has.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too.
Well, lastly, I've been Matt.
And I've been Rabea.
And this has been Sounds Like on Andertons TV.
Bye.